I want to start with this, 55,000 points or just above that on the JSE. It was a good day. What is this about? Is it international sentiment, global sentiment?
I think it's a combination of things. I mean, it's been a while since we've been at 55,000. But, you know, with the U.S. government not shutting down on Friday, okay, there's still some issues there, but I think that helped ease the market just a little bit. And it seems like we're making some sort of progress on the U.S.-China trade talks. Exactly what that progress is, you know, nobody can pin it down. But at least it seems that, you know, it's moving in the right direction, albeit very slowly. You know, on the local front, we've had some, you know, good updates. You mentioned Amplatz's results, you know, phenomenal result. Helped a lot by the palladium price in particular. But Implats also came up with a further trading update, and it's going to make 3 Rand a share. This is from a loss in the previous year. So I think just the positive earnings numbers coming out of the miners in particular, helping our market, you know, to stay above the 55,000 level.
On Anglo-American Platinum, I mean, I see that shareholders getting a sizable amount in terms of dividends here.
Yeah, it's been a while since, you know, these platinum companies have been paying dividends. You'll remember that they had a horrible 2016 when commodity prices collapsed. A lot of them right-sized operations. Amplats sold its Union and Rustenburg operations to Sibanye at the time. It closed down, well, it put on care and maintenance the Bokoni mine. And just taking out all those ounces, kind of those expensive ounces out of the market, and then being helped by the higher PGM basket price, I think has enabled it to show a healthy profit this year.
One of the other companies we had on the chart a second ago was Adcock Ingram. It goes and it secures this antiretroviral contract from government, and I see the share price not doing too badly as well. What's your take on the company?
Listen, the ARV tender in South Africa is the biggest in the world. So you can imagine that every company out there, you know, locals and internationals, vie for this tender. They got about 12% of it, so about 1.8 billion rand, which is quite a big addition to sales. You know, it's a very competitively fought tender. We think that Adcock has been on a recovery path. You know, there was a big scramble several years ago between, you know, Bidvest at the time and a Chilean company, CFR. You know, a takeover battle for Adcock. Bidvest eventually won. And since then, you know, it seems like Bidvest has been doing the right things. The operations are looking solid. The profitability is up, and it's good to hear that they're winning some tenders now. So it's probably one to watch.
So we had 4 charts there, 3 of them in very good positive shape. But EOH taking a bit of a beating. I mean, that was a nasty knock on its share price. Microsoft deciding to terminate some of its contracts with a subsidiary, and investors are just not happy.
Yeah, you know, the company has put out several SENS announcements trying to explain why Microsoft has been doing this. But the research we've done basically indicates that one of the subsidiaries, you know, was involved in some level of corruption, exactly what we're not so sure, with the Department of Defense regarding some Windows licenses some time ago. And they were made aware of this, the local subsidiary, Microsoft, by a whistleblower, who apparently didn't do anything about it. And that whistleblower then subsequently informed the SEC. Now, the U.S. is very hard, you know, on American companies that are guilty of corruption, even outside the borders of the U.S. You can still be prosecuted.
We've seen
that, you know, the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, for example. So Microsoft, I think, had very little choice. You know, if it was found guilty, it could potentially mean hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of fines. So I think they basically took the cautious road. They instructed the local subsidiary to terminate this partnership with EOH, which, you know, is really bad news for EOH. You can't really do much as a software provider if you're unable to sell Microsoft products.
Because it's a sizable amount. So, a final question is, and so we're looking at the markets over the next 2 days. Come Wednesday, we've got this national budget speech by Finance Minister Tito Mboweni. Are there budget-sensitive stocks out there on the stock market that we should watch out for? 60% of the JSE is all foreign. I mean, it's all in foreign places, so we we see that from a foreign perspective in terms of what affects it. But what do we look out for in terms of stock on this budget speech?
So, I mean, there's several things. The budget kind of touches almost all aspects of investment. So,
yeah.
For example, shares that pay very high dividends and that are, investors are attracted to because of the dividend. If there's an increase in the dividend tax, it makes them less attractive. So, this is particularly true for things like listed preference shares, for example. You'll remember in, I think it was 2013 or 2014, when they increased the dividends tax from 15 to 20%, all the preference shares sold immediately by 5% because investors are holding them really for income. The other thing is, retailers, very sensitive to the consumer environment, and we saw what happened when the VAT increase took place last year. Consumers were severely dented, and it translates into weaker retail sales or sales for the retailers. So I think investors will look at that as well, and also mining companies as well. Their royalties that they pay, anything that affects or any contributor to the tax base of the country needs to watch out.
Yes, and thanks very much indeed for coming.